Hi, dear kids. Welcome back to the biology class. Already in this lesson, we have learned about pollination, cross pollination, and various factors that support cross pollination. This is fourth part of this lesson. I know this lesson is going a little bit longer while I'm teaching it through online because in classroom, if we are teaching the same lesson, it would get over within 1 or 2 days. If you are interacting with me, if I could find like it's good to interact with you because you know a lot. I don't want to say a lot things to you. I can see your face directly so that I can understand that whether you could understand it or not. So I can go a little bit faster. I know this is like I'm dragging this lesson too much. Today I thought of completing this lesson. Okay, so this is the last part of this lesson. Today in this class we are going to learn about fertilization in detail, right? So first, fertilization, it's an important term as I said in the first class itself. Pollination and fertilization. These two terms, pollination and fertilization, these two terms are important because these two factors are responsible for a plant to produce their seeds. A plant has to produce the seeds. For that seed production, pollination and fertilization are the two major factors responsible. And this pollination and fertilization, we have studied about pollination, maxima we have completed. And fertilization is the next one we are going to learn today. So first we need to know the definition of fertilization. Fertilization means fusion of male and female gametes and formation of zygote. I could see that there is a mistake. It's formation of a zygote, right? Fusion of male and female gamete and formation of zygote is fertilization. So what is this male gamete? Male gamete is what? Pollen grain. Already we have studied that pollen, when they become mature, they will burst out from the anther. Anther would be like this, right? So this anther will be producing this pollen grain, and this pollen grain is the male gamete. And what is the female gamete? This is gynoecium. So there is a stigma, style, and ovary. Inside the ovary, there will be ovule, which is the female gamete. In last year, you have studied that. So this female gamete is being fertilized by the pollen grain. This will fall onto that. That is what pollination. And then this will be developing, and it will be fusing with that ovule, and at last it will be producing a zygote. So this is fertilization, right? So now you can see there, this is structure of pollen grain. For pollination, sorry, for fertilization, I gave you enough meaning. Fertilization means fusion of male and female gametes, or the union of male and female nuclei. That is what the meaning or definition. So as we are saying that it's a fusion of two different gametes, there is another term to define what is fertilization, that is syngamy. Syngamy. Syngamy means fusion of gametes. Fertilization is otherwise termed as syngamy or fusion of gametes. Now, the structure of pollen grain. Just now I told you that where is this pollen grain is found. The male reproductive part is the anther, right? This is the anther. While you cut this anther, you could see one butterfly shaped structure, and inside that, if I cut this in this way, as like how we are slicing a carrot, we could see this structure, and inside this there would be 4 chamber. So this is how the structure of anther, the cross section of anther would look alike. And in this 4 chambers there would be some more than some thousands of or more than lakhs of powdery substances would be there, and that is what pollen grain. Okay, so this pollen grain, how the exact structure of pollen grain is, a pollen grain will be having 2 wall layer. Can you see that? One wall layer here and one wall layer here. So 2 wall layers are there. These 2 wall layers, outer wall layer is known as exine. Outer wall layer is exine, and this exine is decorated in nature. What is this decorations? Exine wall layer, generally they have some ornamentations on it. For example, like they could be like this, or they could be like this. This exine wall layer may have some decorations on it, and this decorations on the exine layer is responsible for their compatibility. That means When a pollen grain falls on its own species stigma, the pollen grain will germinate. Otherwise, the pollen will be considered as like a dust particle. So that selectability or suitability is being determined by this decorations or ornamentations. So that is what exine layer is so special with. So this is exine layer or the outermost layer of the pollen grain. And the inner layer, intine layer, which is the smooth layer and which is equally be working like it will be growing, like it is possible to have some like somewhat like a jelly substance, it will be oozing out. So this exine layer will be naturally having some opening. This will have naturally some openings would be there. If this is an exine layer, some openings would be there, and that opening is known as germ pore. Germ pore. Germ pore is the opening found on exine layer of a pollen grain. Germ pore is the opening found on the exine layer of a pollen grain. So this germ pore will allow the growth of pollen tube. Okay, this germ pore will allow the growth of pollen tube. You can see the germ pore here. Right? Germ pore is a natural opening found on exine layer which will allow the growth of pollen tube. Growth of pollen grain or growth of pollen tube. Both are meaning both are technically right. Now that is what exine layer and intine layer. And what is found inside this cell? This is a cell, right? This is a gamete. This is a gametic cell. So in this cell, inside completely it's filled with cell cytoplasm and they have so many other granules. Cellular organelles, microscopic cellular organelles are also present, and along with that there is a nucleus. Okay, so there is a nucleus. While you draw the diagram, you need to be very careful. You have to draw exine, intine, cytoplasm, nucleus. Exine, intine, cytoplasm, nucleus and germ pore. So this is the structure of a pollen grain. Now, when this structure, when this pollen grain falls on a suitable stigma, falls on the stigma of the same species, what will happen? This exine layer will go match with the stigma pattern. So they work like a lock and key mechanism. So when this exine pattern go well with the stigma pattern, they both will sync. Then the growth of pollen tube starts. Okay. At that time, this intine layer, imagine intine layer is like this, somewhat like a balloon, like a water balloon, which is like so soft and flexible. This intine layer starts to ooze out of the germ pore which is available on exine layer. Ooze out outside through the germ pore which is found on the exine layer. Okay, so can you imagine that this would be the intine layer. Intine layer oozes out through the germ pore which is found on the exine layer, this one, right? So this is how actually pollen tube is growing. You can see that the pollen tube you can see that here the pollen tube grows longer and longer to reach the ovule. Okay, so that is how the pollen tube is being grown. Now this one, I couldn't show the cursor, right? Okay, so this one here inside, when the pollen tube is growing, what happens to the nucleus? Now you can see the change that occurs in the nucleus. Here in this nucleus, first the nucleus divides into two, and one would be bigger, and that is known as generative cell, and there will be a smaller nucleus that is known as vegetative cell. Smaller nuclei and larger nuclei. There will be two nuclei because this nucleus divides into two, producing one large nucleus and one small nucleus. The large nucleus is known as generative cell and the small nucleus is known as vegetative cell. And next thing, after some hours or after 1 or 2 days, after some hours would be most common. After some hours, again, this generative cell will divide into two. And this tube cell is responsible for the formation of this pollen tube. Tube nucleus is responsible for the formation of the pollen tube. And generative nucleus again divides into two. Okay, please note it down. Tube nucleus is responsible for, or the vegetative nucleus is responsible for the growth of pollen tube. And the generative cell, the first formed generative cell or the larger generative cell, will be dividing into two male gametes. You can see that here, two male gametes. Be dividing into two male gametes. and they are responsible for the fertilization process. And pollen tube nucleus or tube nucleus is responsible for the growth of pollen tube. The generative cell divides into two male gametes. Okay, so this is what the structure and growth of pollen grain. So in structure and growth of pollen grain, what are the things we are learning? First, we are learning the structure of exine. Exine layer is ornamented, and this is responsible for the selection of suitable specimens, suitable species of plant. And exine layer is very hard one, and which will be having some natural opening, that is known as germ pore. And the second layer is known as intine layer, or inner layer is known as intine layer. Intine layer is very soft and flexible one. And inside intine layer, it's filled with pollen grain is filled with cytoplasm. And apart from cytoplasm, there will be organelles, granules, and there is a prominent nucleus. When the pollen grain grows or matures, this nucleus divides into two, and the first one is known as tube nucleus, which is smaller one, and that is responsible for the growth of pollen tube. And the second nucleus is known as larger male generative cell, generative nuclei. This generative nuclei later divides into two male gametes. Okay, so these are all the important things that we need to know in structure of pollen grain. And the next one, structure of ovule. You have studied about the structure of pollen grain, which is the male part. Structure of ovule, this is the female part. So where is this located exactly? This is a new diagram for you, but actually I have taught you about the structure of gynoecium in your lower classes. In your 7th and 8th standard, you have studied about structure of gynoecium, and even in flowers lesson you have studied about that, isn't it? So this is the gynoecium part, which is the female part. So in gynoecium, this part is called stigma, or this is the receptive stigma part, and this is the style part. And here in this part, it is very important, this is ovary, right? So here in ovary part, inside this ovary, you have studied that there will be an ovule, right? Now can you assume that, what is this? This ovule structure, isn't it go sync with this structure, right? So this ovule is what we have given here, right? So this is found inside the gynoecium. So this would be the ovary part of the gynoecium, right? And then here goes the style, and above that there will be the stigma. Okay, got it clear now? Now we are going to learn the structure of ovule in detail. Now this is structure of ovule. The ovule is having two outer integuments. Outer integument. Here you have the spelling for integument. I'm sorry. Here you have the spelling for integument. This one. This is integument. Right? Integument. Integuments means covering, outer covering. There are two outer covering. This is first one and this is second one. Two outer covering would be there. This is first one and this is second one. Outer and inner integument. Outer and inner integument is present. In this also you could see that integument layer is being growing, and this one is the outer integument. This is inner integument and this is outer integument. Here you can see that this is outer integument and this is inner integument. So there are two integuments would be there. Integuments means covering, outer covering. Okay, so this two outer integument or inner integument will form an opening in this region, and that opening is known as micropyle. An opening would be there on top or on the bottom of the ovule, which is produced by the micropyle, which is produced by the integument which is not closing in that particular part, and that opening is known as micropyle. So micropyle, the location of micropyle is very important to know the structure of ovule. Now this is micropyle, right? So micropyle is one important part. Micropyle is produced by the integument, right? Remember that micropyle is produced by the integument. Here in this structure, you can see that micropyle is produced by the two inner integuments. Sometimes it can be by the two outer integuments. Outer integuments would be like this. producing the micropyle. Inner integuments would be like this. And here you can find that embryo sac. So this is outer integument, this may be the inner integument, and this is micropyle. Okay, so this is the natural opening through which the pollen tube enters into the embryo sac or enters near the embryo sac. So this is micropyle. Based on the micropylar position, we will categorize the ovule, but you are not learning that. This is micropyle. Micropyle is the natural opening which allows the entry of pollen tube, right? That's it. And the next one, next to micropyle, there you can see that this nutritive tissue here, this is completely filled with some nutritive tissue. And this nutritive tissue layer is known as nucellus. This nutritive tissue layer is known as nucellus. The function of this nutritive tissue is it will be providing enough food for the cells which are found inside this embryo sac. This is embryo sac. Okay, this is the real female part. This is embryo sac. Inside this embryo sac, there you can see furthermore cells. So these cells get nutrient from this nucellus. Okay, so nucellus is the real nutritive part of ovule, which will be providing food for the embryo sac. Okay, and inside the embryo sac, now we can go into the embryo sac. Inside the embryo sac, you can see that, shall we count it, how many small cells are there? This is 1, 2, 3, right? Maybe that picture goes wrong. Now 1, 2, 3. Can you see 3 cells there? And now in this, can you find how many cells in this part? This is 1, 2. Okay, so 3 plus 2. Now again at the bottom, 1, 2, 3 cells. Okay, so totally in a female embryo sac of a plant, totally 8 cells would be there. Okay, in a female embryo sac, totally 8 cells would be there. Okay, so in an embryo sac, 8 cells would be there. We are going to learn the names of these 8 cells. The first 3 which are found exactly opposite to the micropyle, not beneath the micropyle. Beneath the micropyle there is egg apparatus or complex. Exactly opposite to the micropyle, what you could say is antipodals. Okay, here the spelling is antipodal cells. And exactly just beneath the micropyle, you can see that egg apparatus. Okay, why do we call this as egg apparatus? It's not only egg. Apart from egg, there are two other cells called synergids. Spelling is here synergid. Okay, synergids are there. Synergid. So we call them egg apparatus. So in this egg apparatus, what we could say is the middle one is known as egg cell. The outer two or the peripheral two are termed as synergid. Middle one is egg and the outer two or peripheral two are termed as synergids. Okay. Now this egg apparatus and synergids together forms egg complex. And opposite to egg complex, you could see antipodals, which are 3 in number. And in the middle, you could see secondary nucleus, which are of 2 cells. Okay, so totally 8 cells are there inside the embryo sac. Now what happens at the time of this growth of pollen grain, growth of pollen tube? This is the structure of ovule. Now we are going to learn the process of fertilization. And before that, I need to tell you, here I have given a link. You can utilize this link. You just copy it. You just look at it and type it. There is a link to get a video to see how to make this structure of ovule. This is by one medical student or medical equipment person is making one ovule with the help of some thermocol or something. But you don't want to get thermocol, you don't want to use the knife and all, that's too dangerous for you people. So you can do the structure of ovule with clay if you have. Okay, you can use colorful clay or even you can draw the picture, because this is very important. So you have to draw the picture, or else you can use color pencils to color it. You can show your creativity. I'm just giving you some suggestion. You can show your creativity. I'll give you an assignment to submit this, the structure of ovule. You can use clay or you can use vegetable peels. You can use papers. you can distinguish that or differentiate that using different things. Okay, you can make color balls or beads if you have whatever is available at home. You can use pieces of cloths. So whatever is available at home, you just draw the picture and make it neat and good. That is the only thing. And I'll give you 1 week time to submit this. You just submit it after at least a week. Okay, so today is Tuesday before the next class. So I'll give you the due as the next Tuesday. Before next Tuesday, 9 o'clock, you have to submit it to me. Okay, take a picture of that or take a video of that, how you're making it. Clip by clip, you can make a video and use of video merger. You can merge that into one single video and upload it in our website. And not in website, in our Google Classroom. I'll give you the link. You can upload it in our Google Classroom. Okay, so this is just like a fun. You can do this. I'm not going to make it as a very compulsory thing, but do it would be fun. You will know the different layers of ovule, and it's very important question too. This is a very important question. Structure of ovule. So structure of ovule, what are the things we have studied here? Outer two integuments. Know the spelling. Just look at the spelling. Outer two integuments. Integuments are here. The second one, integuments. And inner two integuments, it is nucellus, the nutritive tissue, and which uncovers or which holds the embryo sac. And in embryo sac, 8 cells are there. The 3 cells which are just beneath the micropyle region is called egg apparatus, which is of 1 egg cell and 2 synergid. And next to that, in the middle, it is secondary nucleus. There is another name for that, that is primary nucleus, secondary cell or primary nucleus. And then the next 3 cells which are on the opposite direction, that is antipodal cells. And this part is called chalaza. Okay, and this is funicle or funiculus. Funicle or funiculus is the stalk. Vascular strand is not necessary. And funiculus or funicle is the stalk of the ovule. It is the stalk of the ovule. For 1 mark, they can ask you that stalk of the ovule is called funicle. Chalaza is exactly opposite to micropyle, or the region where funicle merges with the ovule is chalaza. Chalaza is the region where funicle and ovule meets. Funicle meets ovule. Okay, chalaza is the region where funicle meet ovule. Okay, so these are all the parts of ovule, right? And next, fertilization steps. So fertilization occurs in 2 major steps. First one is a syngamy, that is a zygote formation. That is fertilization, common fertilization. And the other one is endosperm cell formation. You can see that here, triploid endosperm cell formation. So this is what the real fertilization step. So if you want to know that, I need to give you things in detail with the help of a diagram. So better we can draw diagram here. Now, yeah, imagine that you have a gynoecium here, style and ovary part. And here we have drawn the structure of ovule. You can see that micropyle. It looks like duck bill, right? And then the funicle. And here we have the embryo sac, which is having 8 nuclei or 8 cell inside this. 8 cell, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry. And 2 cells. Okay, so 8 cells are there. Doesn't it looks like a face? Yes, isn't it? Leave that. Okay, forgive me for my picture like this. You know that on board I used to draw better, right? Yeah, some kids are saying yes. Right. Actually, I'm missing all you guys. You know that Srikesh, Sai Kamal, Kshetrabal, and all you guys are really good in class. Yeah, girls also, Yashmini, Krisma, all those girls too. Right. So fertilization steps. So the first fertilization, this is what the rest of pollination, the result of pollination. When pollen grains falls on the stigma, pollen grain falls on the stigma, and understand that this is the compatible one. This is the same one. Pollen grain of brinjal falls on the pollen grain of stigma now. So now it's going to develop. So this exine layer is naturally having some opening, through that the intine layer will ooze out, developing the pollen tube. As this picture I can't make very detailed, I'm not going to draw that in two line, I'm just drawing it in one single line. So this is the pollen tube which is growing. This pollen tube, while it grows, it can come closer to the embryo sac. Now, you need to think about that. This pollen tube, who will guide the pollen tube? It's not going through this direction. It's not going through this direction. It's not happening like that. This is not growing to this direction. It's not happening like that. Who's guiding this pollen tube to grow to the embryo sac? That function is actually depending on this antipodal cells which are found in this particular part. Antipodals will secrete some chemicals, and this antipodals will drive the growth of pollen tube towards the embryo sac. Antipodals will secrete some chemicals that will give signals to the pollen tube nuclei. They have some sensor pollen tube nuclei, so they will be growing towards the embryo sac. And this pollen tube can enter into the embryo sac through micropyle region. Like this, it can enter in through. Sometimes it will not be entering into the embryo sac through micropyle. What happened is, it will be it will be growing into the embryo sac through the integument sometimes. Okay, let me draw only this. So sometimes it can grow into the integuments, or sometimes it will be growing through the pollen micropyle. Pollen tube will grow through the micropyle. Now the embryo sac. So who is giving the signal? The antipodals. The three antipodals will give the signal, and there are two cells in the middle which are known as secondary nucleus, and there are three cells which are in the micropylar region which is known as egg apparatus. Two synergid and one egg cell, right? So this is pollen tube. For example, like we are going to take only this thing. Okay, no need of this, it will be a little more complicated. So when I'm drawing this diagram, it will be comfortable for me too. So this is pollen tube. The growth of pollen tube is governed by the tube nucleus, and along with that it grows towards the embryo sac, and that is possible because of this and this antipodals. So when this pollen tube enters into the embryo sac, through this way it enters into the embryo sac. Okay, only through that way it will enter into the embryo sac. Even if it is entering into through micropyle, it will enter by the sides of the embryo sac. Now, when it enters into the embryo sac, the work of antipodals are over. So, these three antipodal cells will disintegrate immediately when the pollen tube bursts open this embryo sac. When the pollen tube enters into the embryo sac, the three antipodals will disintegrate. What is the meaning of the word disintegrate? Disintegrate. Disintegrate means they are disappearing, or they are just they are killing themselves, and they are getting dissolving in the area where they are. So that is what this disintegrates. So these three cells will disintegrate when this pollen tube enters into the embryo sac. The three antipodals disintegrate. Okay, the three antipodals disintegrate. By the same time, the pollen tube nucleus, the smaller nucleus which is known as pollen tube nucleus, that nucleus will also disintegrate. So pollen tube nucleus disintegrates and antipodals disintegrate. Now we can know how it would be. Now after this growth of pollen tube, or after this pollen tube enters in, this is the pollen tube. The tube nucleus disintegrate and pollen tube gets open. There is no antipodal. They disintegrate. Pollen tube nucleus disintegrates. So this pollen tube is open now. There are two secondary nucleus here and an egg cell, and there will be two synergid. Right. Now these are the leftover cells. Now 5 cells from embryo sac is left over, and remember that there are two male gametes. Apart from one pollen tube nucleus, there are two male gametes. The pollen tube nucleus also disintegrate along with the antipodals. These are antipodals and pollen tube nuclei which are disintegrated and found immersed in this place. Now, these two male gametes, the first male gamete come and combine with the egg cell. Okay. So, for this growth, or for this movement, The signal is being given by the two synergid cells. These two synergid cells will provide signal for the growth or for the movement of the male gametes to fuse with the female gametes. Okay, so when this male gamete come and fuse with the female gamete, and that leads to the production of a zygote, which is two nuclear in nature. So this is zygote, which is formed by the fusion of male and female gametes. This is actually female and this is male. So female gametes, which is the egg cell which is found in this particular part, and the male gamete which is from this one. Okay, so this one comes and fuses with this gamete, leads to the production of zygote. Okay, so this zygote is actually two nuclear in nature, because this is one nucleus and this is one other nucleus. This is one nucleus and this is another nucleus. So it is 2n zygote is being produced. That is first step, syngamy or fusion of gametes occur. Right? So first step of fertilization is over. Now the second step of fertilization, now inside this embryo sac, what are the things we could see inside this embryo? So this is embryo sac only, okay? As I'm growing bigger, don't get confused. This is embryo sac. This is integument, outer integument, inner integument. Now inside this embryo sac, what are the things we have? We have one big zygote, which is formed by the union of male and female gametes. Immediately after the zygote formation, or immediately after the fusion of male and female gamete, the synergids which were found in this region, synergid, that will also disappear. Already antipodals disappear and tube nucleus also disappear. Okay, only three antipodals that got disappear, and tube nucleus that's also disappear. Now what else is remaining here? Two secondary nucleus and the second male gamete. Remember that the second male gamete. First male gamete fuses with this. First male gamete come and fuses with this. And second male gamete, the second male gamete will come and fuses with this secondary nucleus, which is already having two nuclei. This is already having two nuclei. So this one will come and join with that. Okay. So this is the second fertilization, which will be leading to the production of three nucleus, and that is known as triploid endosperm cell. Okay, it leads to the production of triploid endosperm cell, which is triploid in nature. That means three nucleus is present in it. Zygote, then zygote is diploid. What is the reason? It is having two nucleus in it, that is 2n. Zygote is 2n and this one is 3n. The triploid endosperm cell, or the secondary nucleus, or sometimes they used to call it as primary cell. Primary cell or secondary nucleus fuses with the second male gamete, which is given here in this part. Secondary nucleus fuses with the second male gamete, forms a triploid endosperm cell, and the first male gamete fuses with the egg cell, forms the zygote. Okay, so these are the two different steps of fertilization. Now after fertilization, what are all the changes occur in an ovary? So the first, ovary changes into fruit. Ovary part changes into fruit. Which is the ovary part? This part, the bottom part will changes into fruit. This entire part will change into fruit. Okay, remember that in apple, at the bottom of apple, you could see one this sort of structure. In pomegranate, you can see that very clear. In apple also you could see this, and in banana you can see that at the bottom you can see three small dots. That is nothing but the stigma part. Okay, in pomegranate you could see, in apple you could see, and in pomegranate you can see even the pollen dust also. Okay, the pollen dust also you can see there, because yeah, you can see that in pomegranate, and in apple you can see that the stigma part you can see that, and in almost all fruits you can see that, but you need to be very patient enough to look into that. So that is ovary part is turning into fruit. This particular ovary part is turning into fruit after fertilization. And what happens to the ovary wall? This is ovary wall. You can by yourself you can say that that will be turning into fruit wall, right? Ovary wall is turning into fruit wall. and the ovule which is found inside the ovary is turning into seed, right? Ovary is turning into seed, and the placenta is turning into stalk of the seed. Placenta, funicle, right? Placenta or funicle. This placenta, what is placenta? The part where the tissue which is combining the ovule with the ovary. In fourth lesson you have studied that. So that placenta will be existing even in the seed. And funicle is actually the stalk of the seed. Even though it is given like this, funicle is the stalk of the seed. And the outer integument is turning into testa. So if you see a seed, there will be two seed coat, outer seed coat and inner seed coat. You can see that outer seed coat and inner seed coat in mango very clearly you can see that, because that's a somehow biggest one, right? So you can see that outer and inner seed coat very clearly. So in mango you can see that the outer integument is called as the testa, inner integument is called as the tegment. Testa, tegment, these two are actually seed coat which are produced by the integuments. And the secondary nucleus will be converted into endosperm. You know that primary endosperm cell is being formed. So secondary nucleus is being converted into, after fertilization it will be producing into endosperm. What is endosperm? A well known example for endosperm is what is in coconut. Okay, how many of you have seen coconut? The inside the coconut there will be one soft, spongy, white color thing, which is like somewhat like a mushroom. It would be. So that soft, spongy thing is the real zygote. Okay, imagine that inside the coconut there will be a soft, spongy mushroom sort of thing will be there, which is believed to be so auspicious among some people. Like when they crack open, oh my battery. When they crack open the coconut, sometimes they could find that mushroom sort of thing, which would be so tasty and so nutritious. That thing is actually the zygote, developed zygote, which will be later producing the tree. Okay, the coconut tree. And in that, the edible part of coconut, generally what we are using for chutneys and all, that the edible part of coconut is the endosperm. Okay, so this endosperm is actually the nutritive tissue. Nucellus is, remember, nucellus is the nutritive tissue for the embryo sac. Endosperm is the nutritive tissue for the developing zygote. That is very important. Endosperm is the nutritive tissue for the developing zygote. So after this endosperm part will be providing enough nutrition for the developing zygote. Okay, so endosperm is found inside the seed. Endosperm is found inside the seed, and inside the seed the zygote will also be there. So this zygote will get nutrition from the endosperm and it will be producing the young baby plant. Okay, and antipodals are disorganized. Egg cell is developing into embryo and cynogid will also get disorganized. Okay, these are the after fertilization changes. Post fertilization changes. So after fertilization, ovary turns into fruit, ovary wall turns into fruit wall, ovule turns into seed, and placenta turns into placenta actually. Funicle is the one which turns into stalk of the seed, and outer integument is termed as, outer integument will be seed coat, that is testa, outer seed coat. Inner integument will be inner seed coat, that is tegment. So these two are seed coat, seed coat, and secondary nucleus will convert itself into endosperm, and egg cell will be converted into embryo. Cynogid and antipodals get disorganized, right? So these are the after changes, after fertilization changes. Now the lesson gets over, so you need to go with the homework. So for your homework, you have to learn just this one page, fertilization page. And I would like to give you one more additional work. That is, as I said just before, you need to make a model of structure of ovary. I don't need a mere picture. You don't want to simply draw it and color it. I guess that I could see that even from my son, most of you are sticking it in one place. You are just sticking in front of a PC or laptop or tab or phone. You're not even moving from one place to another. So I need you to just go out. So what you are going to do is, today, after watching the video, today and tomorrow, by tomorrow evening 6 o'clock, I need you all to send me a video showing the flowers that are found just around your home. Okay, it's very simple. go around your home, just go around your home and just take a look at the flowers which are all there. Even if it is a very small flower, never mind. Even if it is a very big flower, no problem for me. You just go around, try to check whether how many flowers are there just around your home. You just take a video as like your garden tour. You just take a video and post it to me. So this is your first home fun. And then the other one, the structure of ovule, I will be expecting on next Tuesday. Till next Tuesday you have time to do that. And then your cycle test will be on the coming Saturday. So you will be learning the cycle test portion, this just one page, fertilization page. And I guess, yeah, that three works I gave you now. One which has to be submitted to me on tomorrow, and the other one you have to submit it to me on Tuesday, on or before Tuesday. And the next one is about your cycle test. So three works I gave you now. I hope I didn't trouble you. Thank you, kids. Stay safe at home, and you don't want to go around your home. And be happy that we are staying at home, even in pajamas. We are learning, right? So it's very happy to be like this. You don't want to get yourself ready so fast to school, and no, Mrs. Vasanthi Suresh is not catching you for your uniform. Nobody is checking your nails. No one is checking your hair, how much is being grown. So just be happy and have fun and complete all your work. That's very, very important. And I'll catch you in the next class. Okay. Thank you, kids. Thank you. Stay safe at home. Bye.